welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. At A-level, you are required to do an essay about a film or a book. So this is what we're focusing on today. Now, there is an official list of books and films that you see in Spanish at A-level. So I've just put a few here, which I'm sure you would have seen, because I'm sure your teacher would have gone over the list for you, and you can also find them on the exam board website. You can go onto AQA and you'll see a more extended list. So here I have just a few. These are the books here. La Casa de Bernarda, written by Federico Garcia Lorca. Then a very popular one, I think I did this when I was where you are at the moment, studying A-level. Las bicicletas son para el verano, by Fernando Fernan Gómez. And El Coronel no tiene quien le escriba, by one of my favorite writers, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Me encanta, I love him. I've got a couple of films about it. Volver by Pedro Almodóvar, directed by him in 2006. And then we have a more recent one, which is Ocho Apellidos Vascos, written by Emilio Martinez Lázaro in 2014. And I'm going to stress something to you guys. Obviously, for many of you, Spanish is your second or third language, and so we're not quite as fluent as we'd like to be. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. Don't beat yourself up. I struggled watching Los Ocho Apellidos Vascos, and I've lived in Spain for a good while. There are just some of the jokes that are so culturally related that for a person not brought up in the culture, you have to ask what that means. So don't worry, and you will come across this quite a lot. I've always told myself this from day one. There are things that you won't know just because you're not Spanish, and so you need to ask. I cannot stress this enough. A-level is a time where you really need to voice your concerns or your doubts to your teacher and ask for help. That's what we're there for, and you're in your right to do that. Don't feel as though you're being a pain. There isn't a limited amount of questions you can ask. Ask, and ask if you do not know. And that's how you get out of doubts. Okay? That being said, how do we tackle the essay? I'm going to say this because I feel as though it needs saying. The essay, just like any other piece of work that you will do, it follows a structure. You have your intro, which will only be 2 to 3 lines long, and in that introduction you will introduce the film or the book you're about to talk about, what it's about, and what your aim is in the essay. What are you going to be looking at? What's the main question? Okay? Then you're going to focus on the body of the essay, maybe 3, maybe 4 paragraphs long. What's going to be your point, the point you tackle in each paragraph? Now, I feel as though having the structure beforehand gets your ideas sorted out in your head, and it's easier to write then, isn't it? And then you will end with your conclusion, which again is just going to be you summarizing what you've discussed in the main body of the essay. Okay, and again it will only be a few lines long. Right. That being said, how are you going to approach it? Are you going to do an outline quickly? I feel a quick outline always helps me get my ideas out clear, and so I know what I'm going to tackle, so it's easier for me personally. Maybe you want to use mind mapping, and that's also a way to get ideas flowing, and because it makes you, and it allows you to think about what you already know and what you still don't know, and then you can go and work on those points. The just write for writing's sake, just write and go with the flow. Lots of people do that. I don't recommend this because I don't even feel as though it's the method, though many people use it. Okay? It's a bit messy, and we tend to repeat ourselves quite a lot when we just write randomly. Planning, I feel as though you need to do that. Take some time to plan, perhaps a quick outline of your essay, what you're going to put in your intro, I just mentioned. First point, second point, third point, and then you bring it all together in your conclusion. Right, I'm going to go through some tips that you can also apply to your writing, because we're trying to get the best mark possible in our essay. So, when we are approaching the writing for your book or your film, whatever it is you decide to do, one thing that you absolutely need to make sure you know is in-depth knowledge of the book or the film. It's not a matter of just seeing it quickly and oh yeah, that's done. You really need to make sure you read it thoroughly. If there's a section you really don't understand, ask. Maybe it's cultural, maybe the language is a little bit more complex and you don't understand it. Maybe it's a metaphor, maybe it's ask about it, because you really do need to understand. So you go through your book or the film. If there's a scene you don't understand the language, make a point of it, jot it down, find out, investigate, because you really do need to understand and know the book inside out. Okay? Why is that important? Well, if I know the book or the film inside out and I know everything that happens, whatever question gets thrown at me, I'm prepared because I know what happened. I was able to follow those lines in the book and I know what happens from scene to scene. Okay? So that's the first one, an in-depth knowledge of the book or film to be able to handle any questions I get. The next one is the characters. You need to know the characters in your book or in the film. Their names. What do they do? Why are they important? The main characters, what's their role? But not just that, the name of the director of the film or the writer. Because it reflects quite poorly on you if you start talking about a character and it's a wrong character, who did something in the book and it wasn't actually that character, it wasn't the main character, it was somebody else. That shows me that you don't really know what happens in the book. Okay? Right, so getting characters mixed up, we don't want to do that. We wanted to try and avoid mixing up characters in the book. And obviously I'm saying that because it's something that happens. Next point, write down the themes that come up. Okay? You know what the themes are, the themes that we've studied. We've been studying over the last couple of years. Jot them down. What themes come up? Maybe it's violencia de género, maybe it's la religión, I don't know. What theme comes up? Jot down all the themes that come out so we know what the book is about, okay, or the film. Okay, give examples of the themes. Okay, do not, and I must reiterate that, do not spend a very long time retelling the story, talking about what happens in a book or in a scene. Why? It's not relevant. If you put a point out there in your essay and you want to argue a point, put the point, and then you use a reference from the book or from the film to back up the point that you've just given. You don't need to retell the whole story. Okay? You don't need to spend ages and space and lots of words explaining this, because you're just wasting your words. Remember, you only have 300 words maximum. You don't want to omit relevant information that is really necessary to be there. Right, next, opinions. When you're giving opinions in your essay, make sure that those opinions are supported by evidence in the text or in the movie. This is my opinion, and we can see it when such and such and such happened in this scene or in this chapter of the book. Okay? At this moment. And then you give your opinion. You give your opinion and then you support that opinion. Right. Knowledge of historical and geographical setting of a film. Obviously that is very important, isn't it? When is the book written? Where? Which part of the world? Which city? What historical moment of importance were they living? Okay, that is important. Were they at war? Was there a dictatorship? Okay, was it the end of a war? Okay, how was the social climate? How was the political climate? The economical climate? All of this stuff you need to think. Where was it? Which part of the world is it? All of these stuff are quite relevant. Complex language and structure is also very important at this level. Now, I don't want to spend ages going over and giving you examples of complex language because you know what they are. And if you do not know, I'm going to add a link down below in the description box to a page on the AQA website. And you can check it out, go through the list and see what they're referring to by complex structures and complex language. Things like impersonal expressions, more complex grammatical structures. Have a little look. I'm going to leave it down below, and if I forget, please leave a comment and I will post that, but I'll try not to forget. Okay? Make sure all of these things are included because you are getting marked for a more fluent piece of writing with more advanced vocabulary. How well does the text flow? They're looking at that also. How well do you get your point across? Okay? So these are really the main points I wanted to go through with you, and just make sure that whatever evidence you give, whatever opinion you give, you are then backing up with some valid evidence from your text or from your film. Now, I don't want to go on too much, and I do hope that you're walking away with something useful from this video. Okay? And let me know how you're getting on. Even if you're not my students, do let me know how you're getting on. Okay? Good luck with everything, and remember, we are not native speakers of Spanish. I mean, some of you might be, and that is excellent for you. But for the majority of us, we're English speakers, and this has been a massive jump. You know, the jump from GCSE to then AS, now to A-level, is vast. So it is quite nerve-wracking for a lot of us, and I remember being in your position and just feeling way over my head, but I'm here to tell you that it's okay. Take your time, take that support that you need from your teachers and your tutors, and don't be afraid to ask. Okay? Do not be afraid to ask, and you're going to be better for it. Plan, and prepare. You're going to do fantastically well. Okay? With that, I'm going to leave you until next time. Okay? Adios.